Bro, episode 8. Let's get
Episode
it.
8.
Let's go.
Oh, man. Late night episode.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know it, but it's 11:30. Actually,
post
they
game.
probably do know it because you just said it. But it's 11:30.
That's right.
NBA All-Star Game just went down. Probably one of the most fun times I've had in a while watching the All-Star Game. I haven't had fun like that since. Well, last year was fun too, but before that, we didn't really have much fun watching these. Yeah, man.
All-Star Game is it's usually a good event, especially like midway through the NBA season. This year's a little different because of COVID and all those things that are happening now. Last year's was, did last year's happen? Oh, wait. Last year's was the last second Anthony Davis put back layup. Oh no,
it was the free throw.
He hit 2 free throws. He missed the first, made the second. One. Oh god. And then this year's was the exact opposite.
Like no excitement game wise, but it was just like a bunch of theatrics, so I had a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch anyway. I think like every player showed their stuff. Giannis went up perfect. 11 for 11 today?
No, he went 16 for 16.
Oh, he was 11 for 11 at halftime, but 3 for 3 on 3-pointers. And he took a 3 that the announcers told him, stop shooting. He took a 3 and banked off the backboard. And everyone was like, oh my God, man. Stop, Giannis.
I had so much fun watching this game today. I couldn't even tell you. I was in here. I was in tears. They were like, no,
It's like watching a little kid like go crazy like on the court, bro. Bro, finished with 35 points. Got the second inaugural Kobe Bryant MVP All-Star Game MVP award, and well deserved, obviously. After the game he had, it's
I wanted Zion to win, but he kind of just
first quarter.
Yeah, he just didn't do anything today.
Playing with his fists, not even like hands spread out, bro. He was dunking all fists. I mean, the rosters this year, in the same format, obviously, that they picked from last year. The first 3 quarters are, just based on points. Teams win a specific quarter if they, score the most points in that specific one. Fourth quarter is a little different. They always end up going to the 24 points, I think, to the leading team, right? So it's 24 points after. Let's say like you have 150 points. Yeah, after the third quarter, 24 points after that is the target score. You have, the entire fourth, or not really fourth, but just time to basically get to that mark. Last year's was a nail biter. This year's Team Braun was up, I think, like 146, 120 and change probably at the end of the third.
Yeah, well, I think it was 146, 126. Something. They were down by like 20 points or something like that. But
it was not a nail biter, like the exact opposite from last year, as we said before. But pretty easily, Team Braun takes the 24 point like what was that called? The 24 point target score. And they get to 170. They won 170 to 150 tonight against Team Durant. Before that, obviously last Thursday they had the draft. Team Braun got the first pick, and Team Durant, they suffered, I think, with a lot of just like injuries after that. Basically, players who like, including himself, Kevin Durant.
He knew he was playing though.
Yeah. And I think the days leading after, I think Anthony Davis wasn't planning on playing, drafted anyway, but just as a reserve, I think he ended up going to. Team Braun basically drafted a Monstars like unreal.
Yeah, because he had the first pick every round.
Yeah.
And then KD, I feel like KD didn't care because he wasn't playing, so he just picked his friends. He's like, I'm gonna pick this guy because I like him.
Everybody who
like,
I'm cool
nah,
with.
Bro.
You gonna play tonight?
Don't work that way.
All right, you on my team anyway.
Whatever, man. Like,
the rosters for these teams. Team Braun was starting 5 was himself, Giannis, Curry, Luka, and the Joker.
Jokic,
it's an all-star setting. If you had seen this lineup in real life, you probably would not have watched them play a game. You probably would have watched them play for the highlights. But this is the first time that LeBron and Curry play on an all-star team. A lot of people, obviously, any team. And it's a big moment, I think, for a lot of fans, because 4 years ago, a lot of people were kind of in awe of these two players and wanted to see them themselves form a super team, either in
they're
Golden
usually the
State and
captains.
Cleveland. They are, and they were
It's usually Steph and LeBron are captains. Yeah,
the NBA had a real superhero, supervillain setup between these two guys for the last couple of years, and it's worked out pretty well for them. Going down the rest of the list for Team Bron, you have Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Dame Lillard, Chris Paul, Domantas Sabonis, and Ben Simmons, who did not play tonight. I think like a night ago, him and Joel Embiid went to a barber who tested positive, and because they, kind of the whole contact tracing aspect of that is that you cannot be in any public place after that. You have to quarantine.
How they know? How do they know,
bro? The whole situation.
How do you find out the barber has COVID?
Up.
Like, keep your mouth shut, man. Granted, speak up, because it's COVID. You don't want anybody to catch it.
Of course.
But keep your mouth shut, man.
Yeah, man.
Wear your mask, get your hair cut, and let's go.
It's obviously a horrible situation that you have to see before a major game. God forbid something like this happens before like the finals or like even last year's bubble. I think the bubble setup was nice because everyone's getting tested regularly, and it was contained in one area. So even if someone did get COVID, they could reschedule, postpone, or move things around. This is more, we're getting back into the swing of regular, time. So we want people to be able to access things in public and regular utilities like our players have usually been doing before COVID. So going to the barber is a normal occurrence. It just happens to be that, like we're still stuck in COVID times, not everyone has been vaccinated. There's still regulations still put in place. And if you're just caught in an unlucky situation, as many, many outside of superstars, regular people have, getting caught in an unfortunate situation here, like, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have. Who do we have on Team Durant, Shane? A pretty stacked team on his side, but what are we looking at here?
Durant, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard. Those were the original starting five. KD got injured, so they threw Jason Tatum in there. You can't really go wrong with that starting five at all. Like, if you run into an NBA game with that starting five, you're probably going to win. Yeah. And then you have Devin Booker, who replaced Anthony Davis. And you have Anthony Davis, and then you have James Harden, my guy, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle, Nikola Vucevic, and Zion Williamson, who I wanted to be the All-Star Game MVP, but of course, he decided he wasn't going to catch anything. He wasn't going to dunk anything. He missed about 5 dunks in the first quarter. Once that happened, I said, all right, he's out of here.
Twitter was on him pretty fast after the first quarter, and unfortunately,
point blank dunks.
Yeah, he was 2 hands right at the rim. He was kind of flashy with a couple of them, but you got to make those, Zion.
Gotta make those.
Is this his first All-Star appearance too? Like he got an interview.
Technically, still a rookie. He barely played last year.
Yeah. That's it's tough. Obviously, D-Book didn't make that team either. I think 2 nights ago he sprained his knee. I was in practice or after a game. I think they might have got him for that. We'll have to check that out. But
Mike Conley
to replace him. Yeah, they put in Mike Conley to replace him. And he actually got some play time tonight on the All-Star game. So within the last 5 hours, Shane, we've seen a skills competition, a 3-point contest, the first half of an All-Star game, a halftime dunk contest with NBA players, 3 rounds, and like 2.5 really.
Yeah, 2.5 really.
And then the second half of that All-Star game. God forbid there would be an overtime, right? But no. It was so much content that I really wasn't prepared for. Like even like coming into tonight, all I knew it was All-Star Game Day. That's all ESPN had on their website. Like for most of, I think, NBA, like Twitter, TV, website, whatever, it was all just marketed as just the All-Star Game today. Then they slip in the skills comp in the beginning. Then they slipped in the 3-point in the beginning too. It's like they kind of forgot that it was All-Star weekend, and they just said, let's put everything else for show. Kind of like a pregame special or like a halftime special. Not to say it was disorganized, because obviously it was pretty well put out. You know, if you had time to watch the hour that each of the things happened, I kind of wish they were longer. I think the skills comp was, you know, fine maybe for itself. The 3-point contest, I always feel like there was more people in the contest. Would they have 5 this year?
It's 6, but it's usually 6 actually. I think it's either 6 or 8.
I was gonna say
usually.
I thought it was 8 usually in the past, but
it might have been. But that's when you have a whole Saturday night for that. That's why.
Yeah. But, same with the skills comp. Usually do the skills comp like right before the 3-point.
And that's usually 8 too. They had 6 this time, and then they gave the 2 guards the bye.
Oh yeah, in the first round, right? And then what do you always say, Shane, about the skills comp?
The big men always dominate that competition. The little guys, like I don't know, like that pass. Like, I don't know if they don't know how to make that pass. Like, how are you a guard? You can't make a pocket pass.
Chris Paul,
only the
of
big
all
men
people,
that make that.
Chris Paul like bricked a pass, like if that's even the term for that.
One of the greatest passes of all time.
He had 16 assists in the All-Star game, but he bricks it going through. Of course, Sabonis makes it on like his first 2 tries, and he makes it into the finals. He bounced Randle in the first round, I think, right? Like
I think so.
He went up against him,
and then he went up against was it Chris Paul or Luka? I think it was Luka in the second.
I think it was Luka. It was Luka in the second, and then in the final was
against Vucevic.
Yeah, Vucevic.
Like I've never seen Vucevic dribble.
I've seen him play against the Knicks, but slow, man. I didn't think he would be the skills competition, man. But like you say, man, the bigs always surprise you. Sabonis, who's like 6'10", just
I think he might have even be 7 feet tall.
He might even be
center, like
tall.
Big man.
Yeah, that he dominated, and obviously won the skills comp. Steph Curry in the 3-point competition proved everyone why he's still the chef. The hot cooker, the pressure cooker from the corner 3.
They asked him, they were like, did you walk in the locker room and look at them and be like, hey, boys, who's shooting for second? He's like, nah, some things are just unsaid. I just walked in, they knew what it was. I was like, oh,
didn't even have to get the Larry Bird quote out there. He just went out there. They looked at him and they were like, damn.
He's like,
it's going to be one of those nights.
I was like, I just walked in. They knew what it was. Like, I was like, oh, man, I wish I could say that.
That man's just walking confidence. That's what you got to be when you are Steph Curry. You know, you hit every 3. A couple of 3s he made in the All-Star game were just shoot, turn around, looking at the fans for a little bit, wave, say hi, sign an autograph, dip, because he knew he made them. And he does that in games too. It's just the man is, this year especially, unreal. He's averaging almost 30 a game, I think, too. His 3-point percentage, I think, is up in like 45%, something like that. And he's killing right now, man. It's
like he's not repeating 15 or 16 Steph, because it's just,
and
not
it's
possible.
crazy to say, because like 15, 16 Steph was a monster.
400 threes.
Oh my God.
You know, averaging 30 points a game, and majority of the games he didn't play the fourth quarter. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, you can't be that good. I don't think it should be allowed to be that good.
He's shooting 47 from field goal and 41 for 3. I just wanted to check that stat. 41 from 3s. Still, like, my God.
This is number 1 though.
Don't tell me it's Harden.
Nope.
Is it?
Not even close.
Okay. Who is it?
Joe Harris.
I knew it was a Nets guy because of the way you brought it up. I was gonna say Harden only because of how many points he scored, but Joe Harris makes absolute sense because the man is just
Harris.
As soon as one of your Nets star players runs into the paint, he's sitting there open in the corner,
wide open,
he's just there.
Even when he's not open, his shot is so quick that it's like, I don't care. I'm gonna put it up. I think he's like 46% from 3, which is ridiculous.
No, that is
insane. I don't know how sustainable that is, but with him, it might be.
No, Joe Harris, and he's a decent shooter too. I wouldn't even go that past him.
He's elite. You know? He's the best in the league. And it's not like he's taking one a game. It's not like he's taking one a game.
Like 6 or 7 a game.
He's shooting like 6 of them a game.
Yeah.
Like
Nah,
Steph's
that's good
taking
on
like 13,
that's
10,
good on
13
them,
a
bro.
game. I get it. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
he's built for it. But still, yeah, no, it's good higher percentage there. Steph Curry's still unreal. Shane, we're gonna add a mid-season NBA All-Star segment into our little podcast here for tonight. We're gonna redraft these teams, and so I got a coin here. We'll use the front end here. It's got like a little pirate ship on it. I think you can see it. That'll be heads. Other side, it's just got a bunch of letters on it. That'll be tails. I'll call it out. You call it in the air. This is for the first pick, obviously. But Shane, let's go. Call it.
Heads.
It is tails. Let's see. I can get this on the camera. Yeah, right here. Boom. Okay. That's where it landed. So I'll take the first pick. You'll take the second. We'll go to snake draft. Yes, sir.
And you'll draft everybody.
Yeah. So how many people we got here?
Including KD or without KD?
2, 4. So do we want to add injured players? That's the other aspect of that.
Because there's 2 injured players.
There's KD, Durant. There's Booker.
Oh, Booker too.
Oh, did I just say Durant twice? KD, Davis.
AD, yeah.
Booker.
And Booker.
That's it.
Right? You could technically say Simmons and Embiid because they didn't play.
Oh.
But were they really injured?
We
can really just draft everybody. It's not a problem.
Yeah, just
draft everybody because it's even number of people.
Yeah, that's also true. How many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Because if you slide Zion over to the other team, there's 6, 6, 6, 6. So that's 24 people.
Yeah.
So you're LeBron. I'll be KD.
All right, and I think I'll take that first pick as obviously LeBron.
No, you're LeBron
right now.
No, you are LeBron.
So I am LeBron. I will take
so
LeBron.
You have to draft from the other people.
Not only as my 0 pick, but I will draft from my regular lot here. My first pick will instead be the freak Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, you got to still go with him.
Yeah, I mean, he went perfect for tonight. I'll keep track of this on my phone just so we can have a running list and we can knock off players as we go. I'll send this to you, obviously.
I will go. Just put it in a Google Doc. I will go. My number 1 pick. I'm gonna go. Are we choosing from starters too, or are we just going?
Just everybody.
Starters only, or anybody? Okay. My number 1 pick is gonna be James Harden.
All right, that's a good pick. So I'm gonna take freak. You're going to take Harden first pick. And because it's a snake draft, you get the next pick. And I'll take the next 2. So we're basically picking 2 after that.
Yeah.
So you got Harden, Curry. Then I'm going to take Beal.
Oh, hey.
Irving.
That caught me off guard. Okay. Yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to draft Embiid and Kawhi.
Ooh, those are good picks. I was going to take Embiid, but you're going to take him instead. Actually, I liked Embiid, even though he didn't play tonight. Thought he was going to be like an MVP candidate. For
exactly. I thought he was too.
I'm going to take the Joker. And
so that's your starting 5 right there. Giannis, Beal, Kyrie, Joker, and then LeBron. Yeah. And then it's KD, Harden, Curry, Embiid, Kawhi.
So then my first reserve.
Yeah. So we just go to another line and then start with reserves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
There we go. Our first reserve. I'm going to give my guy Dame time. Chance. Are you going to tell him? Good job.
I'm going to go. All right, who's left? All right, there's.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, you stay on your line.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go. I gotta remember who we picked already. Okay.
Yeah, I should have crossed these out. I gotta.
No, you're good. You can't. It's really nothing you can do about that. I'm gonna go Luka and a healthy AD.
Smart. I'm actually thinking because of the hurt players, like it's hard to even tell, but if you consider them healthy, these guys would have had monster games anyway. Luka had a quiet night.
Very quiet. It was kind of weird.
He was assisting on a lot of passes, but and they were mostly to the Joker, to Jokic, which was pretty good. I'm gonna take, Kind of got to swap him around here, but I'm going to take Randle, my guy.
Gotta take the guy.
Of course, I can't let him go. And Rudy Gobert.
You're really picking him now, this early?
Man, let me tell you why. Because that man did not let a rebound. Okay, but that man didn't let a rebound go. Every time that Team Durant had a brick, he was there, and he just did a fast outlet pass straight to a 3-point shooter. And because I got Dame, it's going to Dame. Yeah, at the half court logo, and then he could just pull up from there. Him and Curry tonight. Good point.
I still wouldn't have picked him though. If it was up to me, it would have been him and Vucevic at the end.
Yeah, untouched. Yeah, the two bigs. It's kind of hard to take.
I'm gonna go Tatum and Zion.
Good picks. I was about to take Zion too, because that man he needs some retribution after he missed those dunks. I would have started him the whole fourth quarter just so he could put on a show, bro. A show. You said Tatum, Zion. Those are two good picks. Tatum had a quiet night too. I think his season's been kind of quiet overall, but still averaging a good amount of points. I think though too.
He was chucking though. The whole time he was in the game, he was chucking.
Yeah. I can't even put it past him too much because, he's a good player. He's an NBA star, obviously an all-star. Let's see. I'm gonna take. Oh, I'm surprised we haven't taken him yet. Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And
good pick. That's a good pick.
Oh man, did we miss on him too? Spider.
He was the second to last pick in the draft this year.
Well, that's because that weird Utah thing that LeBron started. That the media was like, he's making fun of Utah, and he wasn't really. He was just saying, which is kind of true. Like Utah's overlooked a lot.
If you picked the Jazz playing 2K, you were walling. Good or bad, if you picked the Jazz playing 2K, you're bugged out.
Right, I mean, you would have only picked them to play as Spider. Like Donovan Mitchell's the only play. Well, now. Even back then, I wouldn't want to play as John Stockton. Why is going to have 81 assists?
Exactly.
Passes to Karl Malone inside the paint. It's nothing.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, we got 3 rounds left. Yeah, 3 rounds left because we got 3 players each.
I'm gonna go Ben Simmons to give me some mismatches.
The entire injured starting team is what you basically took.
I don't even care.
You don't even know.
And the funny thing is, my next pick was gonna be Devin Booker, which is the crazy thing about it.
That's a good pick regardless. He would have been a monster tonight too.
Of course.
I think a lot of the reason why there was such a blowout is because a lot of Team Durant's players probably would have made this game look like last year anyway. They would have really held this team down. I think there's not that many. Who have we missed so far? We missed Jaylen Brown,
Paul George,
Jaylen
Brown,
Vucevic,
Sabonis,
and Vucevic,
Zach LaVine. That's it.
I think we're missing one more. No,
5 because you started.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you're gonna pick one at the end.
All right. So with that said, I'll take PG-13. Also a quiet night tonight. And
he barely played. He played 5 minutes. I was shocked.
Yeah. You know what? And
maybe he's hurt on the low.
He could be nursing something. I don't know. Yeah. I'll take the skills guy, Sabonis. I needed another big, I think.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
I was hoping you didn't scoop him so I could scoop him up.
Late picks. That's what kills fantasy, everything, man. Sleepers. All right, we don't have too many left.
I have to
go between LaVine.
I have to Vucevic. I'm gonna pick Zach LaVine. No, honestly, did you see that fadeaway 3 in the corner?
Oh yeah,
Jaylen Brown did, and everybody was like, oh.
And it was because I remember I took my breath away at first. I was like, ooh. Whoa. He hit basically what was like a Kawhi fadeaway against the Sixers. Like that was a monster 3 in the corner over there. So you're gonna take
I'm gonna pick the guy that I was hoping would do some type of in-game dunk from the free throw line, but he didn't. I'm gonna pick Zach LaVine.
That's a good pickup.
Anyway. And then I'm gonna
he actually played pretty well tonight. Yeah, he got a lot of minutes. He finished with 13 and 5 of 10 shooting. That's not horrible. I give him a decent game off of that. And you got Levine and Vucevic out of that, which
Yeah,
leaves
because I
me.
had to. I had to
Well,
pick another center. You got like 5 centers on your team. I'm about to get washed. And you got
I
Giannis, who's 6'11".
got
I got
Giannis,
nobody.
Gobert, Sabonis. Randall could be a power forward or center, I guess, and Jokic. So yeah, that's about 5 centers on my team.
Yeah.
Who did you leave me with? The last person, Brown,
Just Jaylen Brown. Yeah.
which is for a last pick in the draft, crazy because
Insane.
how many he finished with tonight? 22.
Exactly.
He finished with 22. Jaylen Brown had 22 points tonight. He's the last pick in our draft. That doesn't mean anything. Obviously, he's still the 1.5, maybe second option on the Celtics right now. Celtics team that's like fading pretty fast. They're just above 500, just above the Knicks in the East standings in the 4 seed. Knicks and Miami, I think, are really pressing up on him. I think on that like mid-season push. I think this can go kind of hand in hand, maybe with our kind of mid-season outlooks on our team, Shane. Let's take a look at your Nets first. I think you guys are pretty like well put out right now. The first half, you guys did really well, considering KD's nursing an injury. Kyrie's been pretty much keeping himself in good health, only playing when he needs to, and Harden has just been lights out. Like the guy just carrying that team, not even carrying them. He just put them on his shoulders and he's walking them around like they're just a backpack, like a high school backpack, with all your textbooks in it. But yeah, Harden's been your main guy for basically the last month and a half since the trade. How are you faring with this team, Shane, so far?
We're the 2 seed, 24-13.
It's a good record.
Like I said, I'm a scarred Nets fan. I'd rather stay at the 2 seed than be the 1 seed. Like I can't even picture myself as the 1 seed. Like the only team that I feel should ever lead their division that I'm a fan of is the Yankees. The Giants, even the Giants, it's like we won the division. Like what? We do that? Like we'll win a Super Bowl before we win the division. So it's like when I'm just that guy. Like I see the Nets and they're like, oh, the Nets are gonna have the number 1 seed. We're going to the finals. It's like when I see it, I'll believe it, man. Because I started watching basketball like heavy after the Nets run in 01 and 02. So like all I've seen is bad Nets or Nets with good players that aren't winning in the playoffs. They get bounced in the second round by LeBron every time. They beat the Bulls and meet up with LeBron. They beat the Bulls, meet up with the Hawks. It's like, bro, like, so I'm happy with the team. Now that I've seen Harden play for a month, 2 months, I can say with a surety that the Nets absolutely fleeced the Rockets because all of the picks are going to be 27, 30 overall in the first round. It's not like before where we traded to the Celtics and the Celtics got all our picks and then we were bad. So they ended up with the number 2 overall pick, number 3 overall pick. So it's like we fleeced the Rockets. The Rockets didn't even get Karis LeVert. He's on the Pacers. So it's like the one good thing we gave you, you're not even using him.
That would have been the best option for him, and they still don't have him. They got pretty decent options from him, and even now, LeVert, healthy LeVert, would have probably been a better option.
Would have been a better option. So
crazy.
In my opinion, I will say that I'm very happy with the Nets right now. I was listening to Talking Nets. I don't want to give them a shout out because they're not paying us, but
good point.
They had Evan Roberts on, and he said he was like, with a trade like this, you come around because, like, even with the Celtics trade, you come around because they haven't won. They haven't won since. Yeah. Like they had top 10 overall picks. They got like 8 of our top 10 overall picks because we were bad every year. And what they do with it, they got a bunch of great players and they have yet to win. So it's like you could even like granted that was a horrible trade. I still would never recommend anybody make a trade like that. But
Nah.
when you really look at it, the Celtics haven't won, and you're in the same situation as them.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you look at it, you're second in the East, they're fourth. They had all your picks before, and all you did was find diamonds in the rough. You find D'Angelo Russell outcast from the Lakers because he wanted to go snitch on Nick Young, and then you say, oh well, get rid of him. You pick up Kyrie because who wouldn't? Like, D'Angelo Russell's a beast. Don't get me wrong, but he's not
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
So then you do that. You get KD as well because KD wasn't coming without Kyrie. So
Mm-hmm.
every move makes sense. Like
The
even going
domino
back to
effect.
trading, you trade Brook Lopez for
Mm-hmm.
D'Angelo Russell. Like Brook Lopez is the greatest center in Nets history, and it's not even close. And you trade him, your franchise player for the last 10 years, you trade him for an outcast, and that outcast turns into an all-star, leading you to the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs. Then you trade him technically because it was a sign and trade. You sign D'Lo, you trade him for KD to the
Mm-hmm.
Warriors. Like, so you get KD because you gave, like, it's big brain moves. You give away your
Mm-hmm.
franchise player to get one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA. So
Mm-hmm.
all this to say that I'm still a Scarred Nets fan, even though they're making big brain moves.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, James Harden gave us stability because if it was just KD and Kyrie right now, we would probably be fifth in the East because KD hasn't played in like a month. So imagine that. Like we're number 2 in the East because we traded for an overweight Harden that didn't want to be in Houston, and all he's
It, that
done is
was
drop
just his
triple double
T-shirt.
after triple double. It was. I feel like he had like
Yeah.
extra shirts on under that. Like
2
had
fanny
to be
packs.
something. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
way because the second he came over, that first picture he took when he got here, he looked slim. Like it's like
Yeah.
you lost 10 pounds on the flight. Like there's no way. There's
Worked
no
out the whole
way.
way here. He jogged from Houston to Brooklyn, bro. That's how he got here with
Exactly.
all that loss.
Exactly. So I'm happy. I want to stay in the 2 seed. Of course, I would love to have the clout of saying we won the East, like number
Mhm.
1 seed in the East. I want to stay the 2 seed. Let us stay the 2 seed. I want home field though. So that means the Sixers got to get bounced by somebody because I want home court advantage in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the way the team is looking right now, and then we get Blake. I've been saying it for ever since I heard, oh, Blake might get bought out. I'll take him. I give me all the ring chasers. I want every last one of them.
Why
But
not?
if you're Blake Griffin and you come to the Nets, don't come to the Nets trying to drop 20 a game. There's not enough basketball to go around. I need you to go there. Look, they said they're going to use him as a small ball center off the bench. That's all we need you to be.
Yeah.
Don't go out there trying to drop 20 a game. Come in the game and light people up on the defensive end like you could before. I know you might
Mhm.
not have the bounce you used to have. Roll back the clock because I need you to block everybody. Lob City is back in business. You got DeAndre Jordan starting at center. You got Blake Griffin coming off the bench for center. I want lobs and I want blocks. That's all I care about. Don't give me anything else. I don't need you
Mhm.
pulling threes. I need lobs and blocks.
Mhm.
If you give me that, we're going to win the finals. There's no way we can lose with this much star power if everyone buys in. If you're not going to buy in, go sit the bench. We're not going to win a ring anyway, so you might as well not even ring chase with us. If you're going to come and try to score 20 a game, it's not possible.
Yeah, he's not in Detroit anymore. He can definitely
He's not
turn
in
back that
Detroit.
clock. He could be a defensive player. I think it's a good pickup for the Nets also just because they needed another big man. They needed somebody to come off the bench and really just clean up the boards.
Nick
Yeah.
Claxton, he was hurt.
Yeah.
He's been hurt for a while. He came back, and all he's done since he came back is go crazy. So
Hmm.
I'm excited about the future because we still got 2 more years, I think, of him before he gets his first unrestricted contract.
Hmm.
So all he's gonna do in 2 years is become our starting center, maybe even by next year, and absolutely go crazy. So I was on Twitter and people were like, "Thank God he was hurt because if he wasn't hurt, they would have traded him.
Hmm.
He would be on the Rockets right now with Christian Wood and all of them putting up buckets. And
Hmm.
thank God he was hurt because look." He's on our team now. We have him for the future, and I'm excited, man. He actually makes me excited.
That's a good lock. That is a good lock to have, especially on a not a younger team, but like to have a young star like that, rising star at least. That's something good for the future. Keeps those superstars kind of like at bay. It's like an anchor.
He's another Karis LeVert, always hurt, and then finally he gets some sustainability, and it's like, oh, this guy's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's out here handles, and then you switch on defense, and you have him guarding a point guard, and all he's done is pick people's pockets as a center, and then run the break. And it's like, bro, you can't be doing it. You 6'10", running a break, and you're not a dribbler. You have no handles. You out here running the break? Nah, bro. Excitement, man. I'm excited. But you should be too. I ain't gonna hold you because for a stretch there, I had the number 4 seed, and I don't know how, but
we took a couple bad losses. Nah, man. Knicks looking good. We took a bad loss to hot Steph Curry and the Warriors, and I think we just fell apart maybe against the Spurs. Bad shooting night. Regardless,
Greg Popovich is still the coach of the Spurs, so they're gonna beat majority of people.
If there's one coach he's gonna know how to coach against, it's gonna be Tom Thibodeau. He's gonna tear apart that defense because he's gone up against him many times with a monster Spurs team against a monster Bulls team that was probably a primetime game maybe a decade ago. Regardless, Shane, at 19-18, the New York Knicks have outdone themselves by tenfold. Shane, there's a revolution happening in New York. I'm sorry, I just quoted Hamilton. Oh my God, that's atrocious. We might get censored for that, and I can take down this episode if we need to. Regardless, I love what's going on in New York right now, specifically in Madison Square Garden. A lot of good basketball being played. We've kind of found our young core who we really kind of built from the dirt up. And even from the dirt up, we got Randle, just kind of needing him as like a middle of the road guy, just a guy that we figured like, okay, we can center ourselves around like a decent scorer. Coming from the Lakers, I think he was like a rookie that was supposed to be a breakout. Probably he was a top 2 pick, I think a number 2 pick.
I think overall, he was number 2.
Who just fell from the Lakers in essentially what was the Lakers rebuild, because they had like 3 or 4 straight number 1 picks. By the time the Knicks had him, again, they were still just looking at a guy who was like a mildly efficient player who can sort of build the backbone of this team in a rebuild. The last 3 years of the Knicks were atrocious. Headlined by the Kristaps Porzingis trade to Dallas, where we got their first round pick for the, I think, 2020 season, and Dennis Smith Jr., who was a decent point guard for us for about a year-ish, a season-ish maybe. Didn't really make the cut, though. I mean, realistically, that Knicks team 2018-2019 was really just a bunch of role players who they just strung up together. We didn't really get our real draft picks together. We got Kevin Knox in the first round in 2019. Not really a decent... Yeah, he's not a good option. He's kind of coming off the bench as like a second shooting option.
When I watch him play, it
could
looks
just
like
be nerves. It could be just like inexperience, just not having enough like win ability surrounding him. He came from a good school, came from Kentucky with Calipari, and it is what it is when you take those high draft picks. You either win some or you lose some. The following year, we pick up RJ Barrett, who we thought was going to be realistically what level of player Zion Williamson was at Duke. But as the second option, I mean, it's hard to tell.
Let's not forget.
He was Zion's second option, yeah. But because he was coming to New York, because he went to Duke, because he was still a really good college player behind Zion, everyone felt him at the number 3 is going to change New York. And it didn't. Because, of course, the Knicks fans get their hype way up. And when he didn't meet the expectations, our expectations fell way low. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I have to say this before you go on.
Yeah, yeah.
People think that all because he was number 3 on the big board on draft
Mhm.
night, that he is the best player on that level. It was Zion, John Morant, Big Gap, RJ Barrett, and so on. People thought all because RJ Barrett was
Mhm.
number 3 on the big board that he was supposed to be some first year in the league. I'm gonna go dominate.
Yeah,
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah.
The top 2 guys came in the league and were supposed to dominate. Everybody else, give them a year or two to
Hmm.
get there. Let's
Hmm.
people took that way out of
And
proportion.
and realistically, that's what the NBA is that your first and second overall pick are usually your studs.
It's really supposed
Usually,
to be top 5. It's really
usually.
supposed to be top
It
5,
it should be. I think on
but not that
paper, that's
year.
what everyone medals it to. No. No, not that year. And I think we've seen a couple other players behind Barrett even take a couple like steps further than he has. I even still, you look at what Zion's kind of molded into. Yes, he's a star player. Obviously, his first All-Star appearance is this year, but gets hurt a lot. Seemingly hasn't developed like a specific style of play, but defensively and as a scorer, when he's healthy, he's been there. And I think that's what NBA players, media, draft scouts are gonna, back themselves on is that yes, he's turned into this player. Ja Morant, healthy of course, is a stud.
God.
Star, all-star starter, rookie of the year last year. Wish, and I love RJ Barrett, but if Knicks had a higher pick, I would have taken Ja Morant at the 1. I would have.
You
Because we
can't.
needed a point guard and because I think Julius Randle was still in the way of what Zion would have been in New York. If they had tried to take Zion with that number 1 overall pick, I probably think they would have traded that number 1 pick to Anthony Davis, and they probably still wouldn't have gotten
Yeah.
Davis like at much force as they probably would have put into that. Because really, he was going to the Lakers
Yeah.
regardless. We
Because
all
they
knew
were
that.
Rich Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. All said and done. 2018, 2019 development years for the Knicks. We come to this season. NBA.com, December 14th, 2020, just as the season is beginning. Season prediction for the Knicks, Shane. I'm reading this right off the website. It's difficult to envision the Knicks ending the Eastern Conference's longest active playoff drought, 7 seasons and counting, through the new play-in scenario offers more hope than usual. More important, the results is the establishment of an environment in which young players can develop. Big asterisk there, especially for this season, because that kind of structure has been absent. We don't know yet if Barrett or Robinson, Mitch Robinson, another 19 first round pick who has exceeded his expectations, got hurt last year and this year, hoping he can stay healthy. Love him. Where was I? Are future franchise cornerstones or future journeymen, or if the Knicks can cut bait on Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr. But the next 6 months, he just came back from an injury. He was actually in the starting lineup right before the All-Star break, played pretty well. I like Frank, plays great defense, starting to find himself as a scorer. Yeah, he has a lot of upside,
Yeah.
Aside from that, there's 6 months an opportunity to push these players further while establishing the Knicks as a competent organization from top to bottom. Big asterisk there. They only have to look across the East River. Where would that be, Shane? In Brooklyn, to find a franchise that rose from a worse position to one which has established stars wanted to join. Predicted finish 22-50. Now, I'm not going to hate too much on what they said, except on the points where it said 2 asterisks. This past off season, if we look at the first asterisk that I mentioned, where was that? More important is the results that establishment of an environment in which young players can develop. We picked up a new player development coach, a new GM, a new coach, new assistant coaches came with Thibodeau. Young players gravitate towards new areas, mostly because new coaches, new what would we call that? New hierarchy in an organization, because they feel it is a place for themselves to grow and establish themselves as young players. I think we've seen that with every rookie who either moves teams to new coaches, especially like in the NFL, we saw Brian Flores. Younger players love to go to new coaches.
Loved him, yeah.
Yeah. In the MLB,
Even Joe Judge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even Joe Judge and the Giants, even in the MLB with a lot of the newer, younger coaches we've seen in, I think, Detroit, in, I would even say San Diego has a fairly new coach. Um, we see a
Even
lot of
Loki,
the
the
younger
Yankees.
players.
Yeah, Aaron Boone
Aaron
back
Boone
in
in the last,
2018.
yeah, 3 years, young players
Yeah.
gravitate towards new organizations. What the Knicks did this offseason, not just in their offseason for their players, but for their front office staff, has really, really bolstered this team. And I wanted this team to have a lot higher expectations going into this season. I think Thibs, we all know, is an excellent defensive coach, an excellent defensive-minded coach. He took a Bulls team in the early 2010s that just skyrocketed from middle of the road, middle tier defensive efficiency to all-star powered, top of the line East monster team that was beating out the Heatles, the Celtics. They took the 1 seed in what, 2012?
11.
2011? Was that Derrick Rose's MVP year?
Yeah, 2010, 2011. That was his MVP
And
year.
yeah, and looking at what this team is expected to be at this point in time, at 19 and 18, an over 500 start is exactly where we want to see the Knicks, especially for the coming years. Because if we know that we can hang with the big boys in the first half of the season, where especially a lot of players are gearing up still and they're still waning from their last season woes, and there's a lot of still baggage that has to be addressed from the last couple seasons of the Knicks. We really have to look at this team and say, you know, what they've done in the last couple years up until now to be where they are right now is exactly where you want the Knicks to be. Because this is going to give us, yes, sir.
Finish.
What do you think? Because on my second asterisk, Shane, is where we see, right here. While establishing the Knicks as a competent organization from top to bottom, they only have to look across the East River to find a franchise that rose from a worse position to one which is established stars wanted to join. I don't know if the Nets were in a worse position than the Knicks, especially like where they were in 2018, where you had no superstars, bottom of the East. I know you guys had a real bad, was it 2015, 2016? Literally rose from the ashes after that with a bunch of draft picks and star-studded yourself for the years after that.
Yeah.
I see the Knicks running the same type of thing because we have the draft picks coming up. We have the big team mentality. We have the young core that mirrors a lot of those teams that are superstar teams now. We're able to move pieces around. And I don't see Tibbs staying super long as our coach. He's more of a developmental coach, I think, in the long run anyway. I think we're going to have to find.
I was actually thinking the complete opposite.
You think he'll stay long? I only see him as a developmental at this point.
I don't think he's a developmental coach.
Oh, okay. Well, I see him as one.
He's a championship coach. Like, he's the guy that can take you to a chip. Even though he hasn't gone, he's that level of coach. Like, he can get you there.
Yeah. Okay. I think he's missing that piece because he hasn't been there. And I think he's very developmental in the fact that he can take a lot of these young teams and flip them. Now, Minnesota was a different story. Minnesota, I think, had a lot of just organizational issues. Obviously, the Knicks fixed that because they completely just revamped their front office to really what Tibbs' liking was, which was to attract a younger generation of NBA player, defensive-minded, get his assistants on board. Again, we're looking at a Knicks team that has turned Julius Randle into an all-star, has turned RJ Barrett.
Without him, you guys are dead last in the East.
The key. And he, unfortunately, is our only scorer fairly consistently right now. But we can see a lot of shine and a lot of potential in RJ Barrett has shown in a lot of games
this year. His shot is here now.
His shot is a lot more consistent. Oh, yes, sir. And I'm really, really loving his potential. Mitchell Robinson did get hurt this year, but he's really showing up as a big man, can play both sides of the court, can clean up the boards, can score points, can give you maybe 15, 20 a night, which as a center in the NBA, that's pretty good. If you're going to give him 10, 11 rebounds at the same time, average 2 blocks a game. Emmanuel Quickley was a second-round pick or a late first round? A second-round pick, I'm pretty sure, this year. I
I didn't even know his name until the season started. I was shocked.
didn't even know him until about game 3 or 4, where he came in for 5 minutes, made a nice floater, and then sat him
That's
down
his
again.
game. He's nice with the
That is
floaters.
his game. Now, in the last couple of
Yeah.
games, the last last 2 weeks, I think he's
Fell
had a
off
bit
a
of a
cliff, but he'll
downside.
be
Yeah,
back.
he's fell off.
He'll be back.
This past week, he came back. He scored, I think, about 22, 24 against who was that last week? Against the Pistons. They played 2 games against the Pistons, and against the Pacers, he dropped I want to say 18 and I think like 8 or 9 assists. Where, listen, 19 and 18 for the Knicks at the half is a really good spot, especially in the East. We're at the 5 seed behind a struggling Celtics team at 19 and 17, who we already beat by 30 this season. And we're hanging around with Miami
You
and
can't
a lot of those
really
over 500 teams. I'm sorry, Shane.
you can't really trash on the Celtics because they just passed out. So don't trash them. Don't trash on them because y'all had the 4 seed and then they came in and hopped you guys. So don't trash on the Celtics because the Celtics could easily be the number 1 seed in the East right now. Easily.
No.
With the firepower they have on their team. They got Kemba, they have Tatum, they have Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart is always hurt now, but
yeah, he's hurt currently right now. Shane, they are missing a center.
They need a big, they need a big man.
They are missing a center, and they're missing him so bad because they're getting out rebounded.
It's like 6'8", Dice. He starts at center for them.
Like they're playing 6'8". Super small ball. It's ugly right now. I don't think they would be the 1 seed.
No, they won't.
I know they have the firepower. It's hard to say. I don't think so. I think they're aptly on paper ranked right now. One of the better teams.
On paper, if they had, they don't even need a good center. On paper, like if you add, let's say Blake Griffin was on their team.
Yeah.
Or just to a lesser degree, let's say they had Jarrett Allen. Let's say they had Jarrett Allen. They would probably be the number 3 seed in the East right now.
I'd give them the 3 seed. They would have
beat the Bucks. Yeah.
With a decent center, they'd probably be a better team than the Bucks. Probably fighting with maybe the Nets for a 2.
I would go that far.
Spot. Yeah.
We would watch them.
You would watch them, but you guys have played them how many times? I think like 2 times so far.
I think we played. I think we played them once.
Okay. Yeah. And even still, the Celtics, I think they're looking at the second half schedule. That's the other half I want to talk about the Knicks is that we have a really tough second half schedule. So it's going to be real hard for us to stay afloat in that 5 spot, especially if we don't have a second option from Julius. There's still some work to be done, I think.
You don't need to dominate. The Knicks' goal is to make it to the playoffs. You guys are not going to win the finals because you don't, like you said, you don't have that second option.
Yeah.
If you guys trade for Oladipo, like people keep talking, trade for Oladipo before the deadline. If you guys do that, now you could talk because now you have Randle, Oladipo, RJ quickly off the bench, D Rose off the bench, like that those 5 right there could easily by themselves.
Mitchell Robinson, hopefully healthily coming back. Nerlens almost playing not that bad right now, but obviously Mitch is the number 1 center right now.
Yeah, and just the 5 of them can put up 100.
Yeah,
just the 5.
Realistically, I would like the Knicks to get another option at a shooter, like a pure 3-point shooter scorer from the outside. And I know Alec Burks was supposed to be that guy this year. Reggie Bullock is more defensive guy. I don't think he's more of a shooter.
I think he's a better shooter than shooter. I think Reggie Bullock is a better shooter than Alec Burks. Alec Burks is supposed to be the guy who handles the ball for you. Like that's his game. He's like a smaller LeBron.
That was supposed to be actually Elfrid Payton, or now after the trade, Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose should have came in and had the ball in his hand.
Burke shot almost 40% last season, says so. That's why I think they were thinking of him as the shooting option. This year, his number is not close to 40. It's somewhere like sub 30, I think.
He's a streaky guy.
Yeah, and realistically, if we had a second kid, the way the Knicks have played the last week or two, or at least for the last month, it's been perimeter shooting. And if it's not perimeter shooting, it's Randle down low, which is why offensively they get so manhandled by the 2-3 zone, which like realistically in the NBA, anybody, any team, any other team with a higher offensive rating would dismantle a 2-3 zone. Because
Not
realistically,
really.
if you got shooters on the outside and you're just kicking, that 2-3 zone is never gonna get to the ball. It's never gonna get there. But the Knicks don't kick enough. They rely too much on center of gravity with the big man in the paint, and then maybe
What
kick out to a
zone?
shooter.
What zone do the Nets play? Is it 2-3 or 3-2?
If they
It
have more
might
people on
be.
the on the 3-point line, it might be 3-2.
No, because I always every time down the court, which is why this is the only reason why James Harden gets the triple double so much. Every time down the court, he runs to the baseline, right next to the rim, right there on the baseline, and just stands there, and then fakes out like he's gonna play defense on the guy in the corner. Just they don't pass it there, runs back to the rim, stands there, runs back out. So I don't remember if it's 2-3 or 3-2, but then every ball that bounces off the rim, who's there? James Harden. So, but yeah, going back to the Knicks, like. Julius Randle has been in the league, what, 5 years?
He's 26 and he came up, 21. So yeah, he's been in about for 5 years.
So, no, wait. He's 26 years old?
Yeah, I'm gonna double check that right now because I'm pretty sure it says
you sure 26
on his profile. What number is he? Wow, how can I not find my boy right here? Orange Julius. Knicks need to bring back the orange jerseys.
Regardless, I feel like he's been in the league, what, 6 years? Maybe?
He's fairly young. Like, so remember, he was drafted like 2015, 16.
If he was drafted that long ago, then he has to be like 26. But yeah. I thought he was like 24. So I'm like, if he's 23, 24 years old, give the man some time. Like, people saw him that 1 year with Kobe when Kobe was dogging him out. That he gets traded to the Pelicans. What does he do? Plays behind AD. Like, you really thought Julius Randle had a time to shine?
That Lakers Randle year was always rough. A stud. Yeah.
Julius Randle was always a stud. He just never got the ball. So now that he's by himself, like not by himself, but now that he's the main option scoring wise, what did he do last year? Even last year, he dropped like 20 a game. So then this year,
it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. It wasn't mostly
consistent, but he was dropping them. He was getting buckets.
It also wasn't the same because the players around him were just not scorers. Yeah, they were really not developed, really not a good team. It really reflected on him, right? Because he was taking most of those shots, missing a lot of them. This time around, he's a stud.
You look at the man, like, give him some time. The guy gets a team around him, and what does he do? 28 a game or 26 a game. Get what, like 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds a game, 5, 6, 7 assists a game. Like,
he's
the guy, like
right now,
he's balling out. Give the man time. Even Kevin Knox, he showed his potential. The coaching was bad. My guy, light skin. What's his name? The one that be on NBA TV nowadays. Great concept, horrible execution. That's why he got dropped. And that's why you guys picked up Thibodeau. And what does he do? He says, Julius Randle's going to score. I need everybody to work on your defense because if we're not going to score like these other elite scoring teams in the NBA, we're going to have to lock people up. And Thibodeau never walked in and said, yo, I need you to drop 40 a game. I need you to drop. No, he said, score the way you guys usually score. What we need to do is lock people up.
And there's definitely an offensive game plan. I mean, he's not an offensive on-court presence. Yeah, his offensive on-court presence, and it's even reflected in the lineups for this year, like the rotations even too. A lot of them have been weird, mostly because you mix a lot of like scorers all bunched up in one group with all defensive guys in a whole nother group. And you'll see the Knicks sometimes in games will score 30 in a quarter, score 17 the next. But we'll hold the other team to about 25, 26, which isn't bad, but you have no offensive production. And, you'll see Julius Randle, obviously, listen, going from our first episode, he could be most improved player by the end of the season.
Yeah, because Christian Wood's hurt, so it might be
Christian Wood got hurt. I think we made that pick about second episode, third episode in.
Because he was dropping 25 a game when we picked him.
Yeah.
And that was sustainable. The way he was playing, it was sustainable, but he got hurt.
Yeah. And then
Like
also
to
shout
be
out to
real,
our first round pick too, Obi Toppin. He made it to the dunk contest this year.
yeah,
That's his big signature thing. But he's going to turn out to be a decent power forward, small forward. I
of
think
course.
in our league too. It's a good first round pick.
One last thing on the Knicks.
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau has never been a guy that I feel like with him, he's never been the guy that can like he's never had a team without a star.
Yeah.
It's always like it was D Rose, Joakim
Mm-hmm.
Noah, Jimmy Butler. Like he's always
Mm-hmm.
had somebody who can bail him out.
Mm-hmm.
He
Absolutely.
goes, which is why it makes no sense how he went to the T-Wolves
Mm-hmm.
and was horrible because you
Mm-hmm.
have Carl Anthony Towns out of Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? I think Miles. Miles hit a three in his face to beat
Mm-hmm.
St. Joe's in high school. We're not going
Oh
to talk
yeah.
about that. But but you had Carl Anthony Towns. You have who was on the team? Jimmy
Well,
Butler. You
yeah, Butler
have
for a point. You had D'Lo for like a year, but I don't think he was there when D'Lo
no,
was
D'Lo's
there.
there now. But I'm
Oh
saying
yeah,
like
he's there now.
you have
Wiggins is the other guy.
Wiggins. You
Yeah,
had was it Mike Conley or was it
yeah.
Jeff Teague? Jeff
Oh no,
Teague.
Jeff
It
Teague
was
was there
Jeff
for a
Teague.
point.
Like he had a bunch of people that could bail him out,
Yeah.
and they lost because you know why? Because nobody wanted to. He treated them like they were still in college. That's why he couldn't win there. Now he doesn't care.
Okay.
He's not making you run sprints all day. His thing is buy in on the defensive end. Julius Randle just so happened to step up offensively because he's still young. He just hit his prime. You think NBA prime is rookie year? No, especially not when you have Kobe on your team or AD on your team. You don't get the ball.
Not like the
So people
last
have to
like 5 years
realize.
of his career, Kobe. Definitely not that Kobe either, because he
No,
was
but
not
even
passing
that
the ball to
Kobe,
anybody. He was not passing the
exactly.
ball to no one. You weren't
I think he
learning
had
a
a 2
thing
week
from him.
stretch. He had a 2 week stretch when he came back from his Achilles injury,
Yeah.
where he averaged like 15 assists. Like Kobe went nuts passing the ball, and then he said, "Man, it's my last year, man. I'm
It's
out."
Kobe.
And he
Yes.
just shot the ball every time down the court. From Julius Randle did not touch the ball, so
No.
you have to take into consideration. I feel like Thibodeau is just learning how to really coach. Like he was getting bailed out by D Rose with the Bulls. And then when D Rose got hurt, he was getting bailed out by Jimmy Butler. He
Mm.
goes to the Wolves and he realized these guys not bailing me out anymore. I
Mm-mm.
actually have to learn how to coach. So he goes to the Knicks and he's coaching the Knicks. That's
Mm.
the difference. Now I feel like if you guys get Oladipo or anybody who's nice, like say you guys somehow find the draft capital to trade for Bradley Beal, you guys are going to be dominant for the
Yes,
next couple of
sir.
years because that defense with somebody who's scoring options that can bail you out. Come on
Mm.
now, bro. Come
Knicks
on now.
fans, by the way, please stay humble on that last statement. We're not going to retract it because we know how sweet and savory that could potentially be. But we need to remember to stay humble, especially for the season. We are in a good spot. We're in a great spot, I would say. I like
Stop
our
underestimating
chances.
people, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm not a fan of
Yeah,
that.
man.
Even last year
There's
with the Nets, not last year, 2 years ago with the
so
Nets,
much
people are like, "Oh, the
potential out
Nets
in
are
the
going to be
NBA, bro.
horrible." Do you know who D'Angelo Russell is? He's a stud. You know who Spencer Dinwiddie is? A stud, but y'all don't know because nobody watched Nets games
Way
last year.
overlooked. Way overlooked.
Nobody
NBA,
was
especially
watching
like
Knicks games.
NBA Twitter, they really, really hone
Yeah,
in on the
man.
superstars. If you're not a
Come on.
superstar in the NBA, they won't know who you are. You could have a super week, and when they start questioning you, they're gonna be like, "Who is that player? When did he come? When did he get in the league? What school did he go to? Not a big blue chip school. Who cares? That's
Exactly.
not how the game is played.
That's not how the
It's
game is
not.
played. You just got
If
to
you
be
can
good.
hoop, you can hoop. Yeah, if you're
If you
good, you
can
score
hoop, you
points,
can
you play
hoop.
defense. Hello, you be a star.
That might be my motto for everything. If you can hoop, you can hoop. That's it.
Shane, let's take a look at the Eastern and Western Conference outlook just to take one last picture of the NBA at our All-Star break. Read off the East. I'll read off the East list to you just straight off of ESPN on our standings. We got the Sixers at the 1, Nets at 2, Bucks at 3, Celtics 4, Knicks 5, Heat 6, Hornets 7, Raptors 8. And of course, that 7 and 8 spot is sub 500 with Miami at like the bar at 18 and 18 and 500. I think they missed a few games with so maybe like COVID cancellations, couple of the games
I
in or
think so.
halfway
Maybe.
through. Any shockers in that top 8? you thinking of in there? Any people you're
Uh,
really surprised to see? Teams really
well,
surprised.
other than the Knicks, because even though
Yeah,
like we had that whole conversation right now, like
yeah,
I still didn't expect you guys to be the 5 seed. That's a shock. The Raptors being the 8 seed is a shock
yes, sir.
because it's the Raptors. Like,
Yeah,
how you what? You still got Spicy P. You still have Fred VanVleet. You still got Kyle Lowry. Like,
yeah.
you guys are still supposed to be nice. So,
I think that
I don't
team
know.
took a hit defensively when they lost
Yeah,
Ibaka and Kawhi because it's
yeah.
obvious how bad they
But
took a
even
hit
last year,
defensively. Yeah,
last
yeah,
year they still had Ibaka, but
yeah.
well, yeah, they still had Ibaka
They still
last year.
had
But
him.
it's
He
like,
went to OKC, I think, after this
yeah,
season, right? Yeah,
no, he went to no,
or
he's on the
not
Clippers right
OKC.
now.
Or oh yeah, he joined
Yeah,
Kawhi again. That's right,
yeah.
his boy.
So that's one
Uh,
shock, and the next shock is the fact that the Hawks aren't in the top 8. The Hawks have
yeah,
firepower.
that's a team that like every year you always think because especially not just like Trey Young, but they have a decent like starting five. Clint Capella, they got a good
Hmm.
shooter. The lanky
They
like
have
white
Trey
guy.
Young. They have Bogdanovich. They
Oh, they have
have Danilo
Bogdanovich,
Gallinari. They
Gallo,
have John
ex
Collins,
Nick,
who's an
John
absolute
Collins. Yo,
demon with the
super
basketball, bro.
overlooked, and he was like at one point. I think he's not a rookie. No, he was, I think, looking at
He's in
probably
his
like
like
most
third year,
improved
fourth year right
player.
now.
He
Yeah,
was looking at most improved player, I
he's
think, because
elite,
NBA was
bro.
talking about him for a week. Like he was hot for a
Yeah,
good week. Yeah, it's a core that I think
they have so many. They have who's
defensively they're
the second
lacking, I
year
think.
player? Oh man, he's like a 2K demigod. What's his name? The the guy that came out of Duke. He was Kentucky. Was it Duke or Kentucky?
Uh
You
Cam
remember the
Reddish.
old Cam Reddish,
Yeah,
absolute
from
stud. Then they
Duke.
have,
Yeah.
what's the other guy's name? The wing player. Um, oh man, I forgot all these guys' names.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
He's a
roster.
small forward.
Solomon Hill,
No, he's old. He's been in the
DeAndre
league for a minute.
Hunter. Oh, he's
DeAndre
been there for
Hunter.
he's 23. Is he 20?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, he's
I think
23.
he
He's younger.
played 3 or 4 years. But you see,
Okay.
like, they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
studs on. Kevin Herter's
Yeah.
still there. Like,
Yeah,
they
Herder.
have
That's the guy I
studs
was
on
thinking
their
of.
team,
Herder
and
can
it's
shoot,
like,
man. He's a
yes.
sniper.
If it was
Um,
me, I would have thought that the Raptors would have had the 5 seed where the Knicks were,
yeah,
and then
I could
you
see
and the
that.
Hawks would have been fighting for the 8 seed. Actually,
I
no,
mean,
y'all
on
would have been
paper,
fighting
that's
for the
probably what it
7
looked
seed,
like.
and the Hornets would have been in the 8 seed. Like, it
The
would have been
Hornets,
y'all three fighting.
the Hornets are actually my team that are surprisingly like in the race still. The Pacers are my team that's out because I thought the Pacers on paper, well,
Injuries,
they were
man.
in the 4 spot about a month ago,
Yeah,
but they
injuries. They
lost
trade
like,
Oladipo, and then Karis
well,
LeVert's
yeah.
hurt. So yeah,
And
it's a
they,
lot.
they they lost out big, I think, on that for this season specifically. I thought Oladipo was going to be a pacer for life because you figure he's found a home there, and you never know with how organizations want to run themselves and teams want to manage their players. I think Miami, because of their injuries, at the 6 is still kind of surprising. I think early this season I had them still fighting for a 1 or 2 seed with Brooklyn and Philly, but I don't know. Miami's I think struggled
It-
defensively. They're missing a center. Um,
they're not
Olynyk's
really
just
a
not
regular
cutting it.
season team anyway either.
Well, that's also true
They
because
just get to the
for
playoffs
the
and then they turn it up.
postseason, they are built for that postseason,
Exactly.
man. They will run you through in the
And
postseason.
what people forget is that Tyler Hero was a rookie last year.
Yeah,
Not a rookie. Was he a rookie? Yeah, he
yeah,
was
he
a rookie
was. He was
last
a rookie
year.
last year.
Kendrick Nunn is a rookie last year. What was a rookie
Mhm.
last year? Duncan Robinson was in his second year. Like,
Those
they
guys are
showed up in
developing.
the playoffs. Now you got to just let them play, let them
Yeah,
get their feet back under them, and then when playoffs come again, and Tyler Hero actually shows up again, then we could talk.
yeah, they'll run the table soon enough. How about the Western Conference? Let's look at the outlook there. Utah at the 1, Suns at 2, Lakers 3, Clips 4, Blazers 5, Nuggets 6, Spurs 7, Mavs 8. Um, I'm really surprised at Phoenix, but I shouldn't be because I thought Phoenix was going to be like a mid-level team. I didn't think they were ready from last year still for a regular season run. I felt like in the bubble they had it because it was a bubble scenario. I know you're shaking your head, Shane. I know you know this team is good, especially with the addition of Chris Paul this year.
Thank
really,
you.
really
Thank you.
elevated them to the team that they needed to be because it didn't
Thank
push
you.
Devin Booker to hold the ball and
We
shoot,
talked about
pass, and
this
do
like two
everything.
weeks ago.
I
Chris
know, I
Paul does
know.
not lose. Any
And he
team Chris
changes
Paul's on makes the
teams.
playoffs.
He changes teams, single-handedly changes every team he's on. But I'm still surprised that they're at the 2 because the Lakers, I feel, should be higher. Granted, AD got hurt. Clippers, I feel, should be higher. Granted, they haven't played their best. They've been pretty streaky, I think, in the last month or so. I think early on they were. And then I'd say Golden State is my weird out of the playoff spot. They'd be in the playoffs if they were in the East. They'd actually take the 5 spot from the Knicks. But they're playing the Wild West, and they started off real slow. Curry was hurt. Wiseman has kind of found himself as a center. Draymond is kind of gearing back to his old defensive self. Where are you looking at, Shane, with the West? Those are my 2 weird spots, I'd say.
The Jazz being number 1 shocked me. I knew they were going to make the playoffs because it's Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. They're nice. They got Joe Ingles over there. And they have Bojan Bogdanovic. Like, they have studs. Mike Conley, who made the All-Star team. Let's not forget about him. He was on the All-Star team.
Oh, don't forget Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. My guy is playing like
he's gonna win 6 Man of the Year.
Like, man, he's going crazy.
I think it's basically solidified at this point. If he keeps this up, he's 6 Man of the Year.
25 off the bench, bro.
Exactly. On. Like, they're gonna be nice. They're gonna make the playoffs, but I didn't think they'd be the number 1 seed. They're 25-9. They don't have double-digit losses yet, and they're in the West. I can understand you say they don't have double-digit losses in the East because they're facing a bunch of crap teams at the bottom. No, they don't have double-digit losses, and they play in the West. So that's crazy to me.
Probably the best offensive team in the league. I think so too.
Which is weird because they don't have any like huge names.
No, it's kind of like that small market like teamness that comes out of nowhere and just really surprises everybody. But that's the whole Utah conversation that LeBron was making up for the last week. But still, 116 a game is crazy. I think to think of in Utah. What about anybody who feels
same with the Warriors because I figured they would be in this situation because Draymond's not playing heavy. Like, he just came, like you said, he's ramping back up now. They don't have Clay again. Andrew Wiggins is in and out when he feels like it. Like, Andrew Wiggins should be a top 25 player in the NBA, but he's just lazy. He doesn't want to be there. And then now that he's not a top 2 option on the team, it's like he shows up when he wants to. But they do have Kelly Oubre. James Wiseman is running the break, like 7-footer running the break with a mid-range shot. He doesn't have a 3-point shot yet, but he will.
Playing on the Warriors, he's going to be built for it soon.
Next year,
just be scared of that team. Yes, sir.
Year, they're back in the finals.
Oh, man.
Right now.
Think about it. It's the same team. It's the same team that they had in 2015. Just with a monster center.
Barnes.
With a monster center instead. A 7-foot
Andrew
3-point
Wiggins and
potential
Harrison
shooter.
Barnes is the same player.
Yeah,
so
actually, when you
the same team.
Same effectiveness, probably.
Think about it. Next year?
Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ. Especially if Klay Thompson comes back upset. He missed 2 years.
He will.
People are going to be sleeping on it. If he comes back mad and you have the Splash Brothers back with James Wiseman grabbing every rebound because he's 7 foot with bounce. Nah, bro.
Wild West. That's where we're going to leave that at. Next season's definitely going to be a good one. But before we can think about that one, we have to really, really fill out the rest of this year. Next couple games start, I think, Tuesday, right? That'll be Tuesday, March 9th. Yeah. It goes all the way to mid-May? About middle May, 16th, 17th.
Might be mid-April, actually.
I think they have the play-in at the beginning of May. Before that. Yeah, for like the 8, 9, 10 spots, things like that. Regardless, a lot of good games coming up for the rest of the season. A lot of top matchups. I think the NBA.
Sucks. Wait, I just thought about that. That sucks. Yeah. You guys better get the 5 seed.
That's what I'm saying, man. We're going to have a really tough rest of the season. We've got about a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months left of basketball for us to really, really hone in on a playoff spot. I think we'll probably finish in a lower East seed. I'll be really shocked if we make it above like 5.
Because it's 6 to 8. 6 to 10 is the play-in tournament.
it's like a
So
smaller
if you guys
playoff
end
to
up
make
in
the
the sixth
playoffs.
seed and then
Yeah.
get bounced by the Hawks, like come on now. Trae Young in the playoffs is going to be a demon. So do
But we won't
whatever
get
it
bounced by
takes
the
to
Hawks
get
because
that
we
5
lock
seed.
down shooters. Shooters do
That's true.
not shoot against the Knicks. Lock them, clamps.
That's true.
But
I will
even
give you
still,
that.
Shane, there's a lot of tough games coming up in the second half. I think the NBA really played into, we want our top teams playing each other in the second half, fighting early for playoff spots, especially those top seeds. We'll see more of Philly. We'll see more of Utah if they can hold those top seeds. A lot of Brooklyn left, a lot of Bucks left, a lot of East really filing to do. The West is pretty set, but look out for the Warriors at just above 500. They'll probably make a late push in the season to get a mid-tier
If
playoff
they're in the
spot.
if they're in the play-in
Yeah.
tournament, good luck. They're gonna make the playoffs. I could just you book it right now.
You're going to have a lot of trouble with that team down the stretch. But regardless, that has been the first half of our NBA season. Covered that so far for 2020, 2021. Really looking forward to the season. Shane, I know we're really excited. Hopefully we get to take a look at some of those games, hone into a lot of those, and see a lot of our favorite players go make it down the stretch, right? Like really tough season
I'm
ahead.
excited, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I need KD to come back, and that's it. We're good. KD to come back, Blake Griffin to know his role. Don't come in trying to be a savior, and we'll be good. We'll probably end up with the number 1 seed, but I'm good, man. I'm good. Let's move into the weekly updates.
Yes, sir. We've got the weekly updates for this week. Not too many things actually happening outside of the world of sports. NFL is really kind of gearing into their free agency. Starts again Tuesday, March 9th. Not too many big names left. I think the JJ Watt buyout and then signing last week. He's going to Arizona, 2 years, 31 mil, 23 guaranteed. There was a lot of influence from ex-Houston players there, CP3 being one in another sport in basketball, DeAndre Hopkins reuniting them from the Texans to the Cardinals. And then Kyler Murray, he sent a really almost desperate text to him saying, "I'm here because of you." And obviously, you look at Kyler Murray as a quarterback, really, really star-studded, ready to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league, especially as a dual threat. Just a monster athlete with a cannon for an arm. And he's lining up on the other side of Chandler Jones, who has been a Pro Bowler, monster defensive end on the Patriots, still a monster defensive end, probably one of the better defensive ends in the NFL. You're looking at a pass rush that could be terrorizing players like Russell Wilson, who are struggling to find an offensive line in Seattle. He's probably even more upset that his trade scenarios aren't being taken more seriously by his team specifically, but by the media by a lot. And then the other big signing was just Big Ben, resigns to Pittsburgh, takes a pay cut, 14 mil just for 1 year.
He deserves a pay cut because he wasn't very good.
His last, the first, what was that, 9 games when it went 9-0?
That wasn't even him.
It was his play with his wide receivers because there was no running game. Huh?
But it didn't hurt the team, but it wasn't very good.
Listen, it was enough to get them to 9-0. Their defense was astounding at that point anyway, and their schedule, I think, really wasn't that tough in the beginning of the season. Regardless, he's taking a pay cut because he knows that there's a couple other signings that they need to make.
Yeah,
the NFL's taking a cap hit anyway this season. Juju's still a free agent, I think, unrestricted. So, they're going to want to re-sign him. He's going to want to be reunited with Big Ben anyway.
He needs to go to the Patriots, and then they need to sign Cam Newton back and run it back.
I don't want to hear it, bro, because if Juju goes to the Patriots, you know what? Realistically speaking, I think Juju's a little overrated, but I would like to see him develop on the Patriots.
He's still good.
He's a good receiver. He'll give you a good 800 a season. But this looks like it's going to be Big Ben's last season in the NFL. So, obviously we're looking at his road to retirement starting now, his final push at a championships year. I don't think they're going to get it. Looking at the team that they got, they still don't have a running back. The receiving core is good. Their offensive line's okay.
What's his name? What's his name? James Conner? Is that
James Conner?
Is that from the okay?
No, that's him. That's him.
Running back. Who's the running back from the Broncos?
Philip Lindsay and Melvin Gordon. They split time a little bit this year. Melvin Gordon came from the Chargers this past year.
I was thinking of Philip Lindsay, but James Conner is the guy from he's good. He's a running back.
I don't see that team going far. They're still gonna have to get through the Browns. They're still gonna have to get through the Ravens, and Joe Burrow is not gonna go out sad like he was last year. That AFC North is going to look scary next year, bro.
Joe
It's going
Burrow
to be
tore his
tougher.
ACL, and he's coming back next year pissed. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah. Shane, what are we looking like in the MLB? Spring training's back, isn't it, huh?
Yeah, spring training is going. It's going.
It's going.
You don't never put any stock in spring training unless somebody's getting lit up. Like if you go out there, you're pitching and you're giving up four runs an inning as a starter, like that's when you take stock. But if your favorite hitter goes 0 for 25 in the spring training, be actually happy.
He's getting reps
about it.
Yeah, he's getting hitting reps. He's seeing pitches.
He's using up all the bad at bats in spring training. He's probably going to go crazy in the regular season. It's those guys that have the spring trainings with 8 home runs. Mm-hmm. They're hitting 500. Those are the guys that go into the regular season and get destroyed. So
use up all that energy in March.
Exactly. Don't take any stock in any of your favorite players doing poorly in spring training, or if they're doing really well, unless it's somebody who's injured. Like seeing Corey Kluber go out there and shove, I feel good because it's like, oh, his arm can actually hold up. Seeing Domingo Germán go out there and shove, it's like, yes, I still feel like they're gonna send him to the minors to start the season.
Yeah,
but to see him shove, it's like, okay, he might actually be quality for us down the road. Davy Garcia gave up the 1 run or 2 runs or whatever in 2 innings. That's good. Like it's Davy, he's a rookie. He's gonna give up runs. Yeah. Jamison Tyone, his arm didn't explode. Like we're on the right path.
Oh, so God.
give it some time. Jordan Montgomery went out there today through 3 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, and one of them was a swinging bunt, and the other one was a little bloop single. Like seeing stuff like that just feels good because all those guys were either hurt or they're rookies now. So
and a lot of ex-Yankees stock in that. With the Phillies there.
The Phillies, I tweeted out today. I was like, seeing Ronald Torreyes and Didi in another uniform still bothers me.
Yeah,
I still get sad when I see that. It's not fun.
When I saw Toe on the Cubs, that was still weird because I missed him. I missed him in the right looking pinstripes getting picked up by Judge in the dugout after a home run. It's just not the same, man. It's not the same.
We need those Yankees back. We need the fun Yankees back, man. I'm tired of the serious.
I hope they're fun this year.
That's why I'm happy Gardner's back.
Yeah, he brings the party.
Yeah, it's a Gardy party, man.
How are you feeling about this new format? The new spring training format. It moves the game faster, I think, in my opinion. I don't hate it.
At first I didn't hate it, but then now that I think about it, I'm kind of sad because I like even though the second half of those games are usually boring, I like the fact that I get to see Yankees prospects. I get to see those fringe guys that probably won't help the team this year, but I get to get excited. What's that guy's name? Chris Gittens, the guy number 92 or some first baseman. He hit like a 400-foot bomb dead center for a grand slam, and I'm like, who is this guy? And then you look him up, and it's like he hit like 285 the last 2 years or something like that in the minors with like a bunch of home runs, and it's like, why is nobody talking about this guy? And it's like, yo, we could either use him, like if Voit gets hurt, like granted, they're not going to call him up because he's not on the 40, but he looks like he's going to be a stud. Like he looks like a Chris Carter that can actually hit for average.
Oh God, Chris
and
Carter.
That's a top 25 MLB player. Like granted, it has to translate into the majors, but Chris Carter hit 40 home runs a year, but he would hit 210. Like this guy looks like he's going to come up to the majors, hit 35 home runs a year, and hit like 275, 280, which is amazing. So granted, you don't want to put too much pressure, but look at it. I like that feeling of seeing those guys in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings.
Yeah,
that I have no clue who they are.
You bringing up Chris Carter and having a guy kind of coming up behind him reminds me of the Greg Bird situation that we had in 2017, where Carter was the main guy, but we knew Bird was there, and we knew Bird was going to come up big.
That was 2015 when Tex got hurt. And then Greg Bird was just like sort of there in the wings, but Chris Carter was there. And then Greg Bird finally came up, hit like 12 home runs in that stretch, 2015 to get us to the playoffs. And then Tex came back for the playoffs. It was one of those things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember the year. I just remember starting that year where we had Chris Carter, and then we ended up like releasing him just like midway, like a month into the season. And we just kicked him for Greg Bird. And Greg Bird was the guy ever since. Obviously not now.
Tex retired after 2015, I think. So Greg Bird took over 2016, but he was hurt. So it was one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, that I remember a lot of. But I like the format mostly because we can see our main guys play. Sometimes they give in hints of those younger guys, those prospects. And you mentioned the first baseman they had in. They also had like a left fielder come in for a couple innings, who they felt was, oh my God, like we might not need Clint Frazier because this guy, he could be the next big thing. But that's just Yankees fans obviously being
Yankees Facebook.
lunatics. Oh God, you entered like a whole different planet when you go on there, bro.
Yankees
But
Facebook is hilarious.
yeah, it's still fun to see it, play out in the long run. You get to reminisce on a couple of names. Oh, remember this guy from spring training? He might be coming up at the end of this year. Late August call ups, September call ups. But it's fun to see. I do like a faster game of baseball. 7 innings isn't specifically what I'd like to see in like a regular season game.
No, unless it's a doubleheader. I like the 7-inning doubleheaders.
The 7 yeah, like that would make sense. But it's 9 innings. A baseball game is 9 innings. I don't think it should move any further or in front of that. Baseball's almost fine as is in terms of that length. But yeah, spring training's on its way. We are about 2-3 weeks from opening day. And just really looking forward to it. MLB is looking to be a really great year this year. A few teams that are really fighting for their names. I think like there's a lot of dignity at stake this year, especially because the Dodgers got their chip. Everyone else feels like if they can do it, I'm going for mine.
Yeah, for the
Yankees, except the Pirates. Well, Pirates aren't though. They're going for.
I feel like every team the White Sox, Luis Robert is walling. He said, we're the best team in the American League. And it's like, whoa, sir.
Oh, I saw that.
New York.
Wait, was that Robert or was that Tim Anderson?
I think it was Luis Robert. Oh, Tim Anderson's going to corroborate because he's that confident. But I think it was Luis Robert. He said, we're the best team in the American League. It's like, what?
We'll just see about that. Call us in about 2 months, right before the All-Star break, too, because you're going to see what a real team is.
Not even then, because both teams will probably be in first place. Call us in August,
in their respective
late August,
divisions. But the Yankees will have a 5-6 game lead on them for the AL.
I wouldn't even go that far because I feel like the East is kind of weak this year. It's just us and the Blue Jays, really. Like the Rays are going to be there because it's the Rays, but the Orioles and the Red Sox are going to be horrible.
Yeah, so but for like the AL standings overall, like in the playoff spots.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Yankees would have their foot on the gas that hard.
By the All-Star break, they'll have a comfortable lead. Listen, I think Chicago's got a good team, a great hitting team. Their pitching's still kind of like middle of the road.
Their pitching is elite.
Their starters aren't gonna phase anybody this early. I think it's still fairly new.
Kopech, you have Lance Lynn.
Let them face the real AL bats. It's gonna be real sad once it comes to Chicagoland on that side. Southside's gonna have a
and
real
Lance
big
Lynn
frown.
are studs. Kopech is coming into his own. He's going into his second year, so I give you credit with him. He's not gonna do nothing, not yet at least.
Yeah, all right, that's early.
What's his name?
Giolito's good.
Lefty?
Lynn, he's a little old now, man. He was on the Yankees a couple of while ago. But,
he was trash on the Yankees. He was shoving on the Rangers the last 2 years.
Well, okay, yeah, the Yankees. That's a different story because he definitely was. He actually he was a Cy Young candidate, wasn't he? At one point,
yeah, the last couple of years, he's been like top 5 in Cy Young. So I'm telling you, he's nice.
Yeah, man.
And then you have Keuchel, who's a crafty lefty. So crafty lefties don't ever go anywhere. Yeah, they stay good forever.
Did he throw the no-hitter last year? Who threw the no-hitter last year?
Giolito threw a no-hitter last year.
Oh, that's who that was. Yeah. So he threw the one spot. Yeah.
So you understand, like their starters are good, and then their bullpen is Garrett Crochet. You have Cody Hoyer. You have a bunch of Liam Hendricks.
Liam Hendricks is their main guy. Yeah, he was the best AL closer, I think, in the league.
Aaron Bummer, like they have a stud bullpen, so they're good, but they're just not better than the Yankees, and I don't want to hear anything about it. You're not better than us.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to hear it. You're not.
We know where it is. All of baseball knows where it is. Exactly. It's Yankees season in the AL, and to the chip, bro. We're taking the title this year.
Gotta go through
all the way.
We might get hurt, and we might mess with our own season up. But if we're all healthy, I can tell you right now, we're washing everybody.
Man,
market right now. Everybody stays healthy. We are dominating.
I can't wait. We need opening day to come ASAP because really, we're waiting on this. We've been waiting on this for a while. A real full baseball season. Man, this This has been episode 8.
Episode 8, man.
D-Rod and Shaniac Sports Podcast. We are 8 episodes in. Please keep tuning in. Keep checking us out on all media platforms. You're watching us now on YouTube, but you can still watch us on Spotify, on Podbean. Listen to us, really. But Pandora, Apple Podcasts, that's been the new one up from last week, and iHeartRadio. That's 5 platforms.
iHeartRadio.
Pick one. Take a listen. Tune in.
Pick all of them.
Pick all of them.
Listen to all. If you get tired of listening, leave it on. If you have to turn us down in the background, leave it on. I have no shame. Turn this on, put us at the minimum volume, and just let it play in the background. I'll be happy with that. On YouTube,
you're gonna
watch it all the way through.
You're gonna want to hear me and Shane on these brand new microphones. You can hear every level
I've had mine for a little bit, but his brand new,
brand spanking new out the box. Doesn't sound like I'm on a phone call anymore, bro. It's so good. And of course, keep following us on Twitter. Our Twitter for our joint podcast is DRodN, letter N, DRodN Shaniac Pod.
Yeah.
On Twitter. Shane, he's at that's underscore.
That's A underscore.
You gotta say it, bro, because I keep messing this up.
That's
I follow
A
you.
underscore Shane. And
I see his tweets every day.
Yeah, I be tweeting a lot now. I like Twitter.
Better.
I used to be an Instagram junkie. Nah, I love Twitter now.
Twitter's where it's
Twitter's so much better.
So we got a joint account.
Yeah.
Shane, your YouTube?
Subscribe to my YouTube, Shaniac the Helmer. Helmer means manager. I just like to feel like I'm in charge.
I always thought it was like helmet, you know, like he just misspelled it or something. I don't know.
I be losing a lot, but I just like the feeling of being in charge. So Shaniac the Helmer, and where can they find you?
Yes, sir. And I'm still at DannyRod75 on Twitter. You can still follow us there. We'll have our IGs, our Twitters, and everything on our media posted below on the YouTube video. It'll be posted in our bio on our listening devices. Keep tuning in. Another episode coming next week. Love y'all. Listen up. We're in. We're out. D-Rod Shaniac Podcast. Let's go. Got the 8.